All right, this is BS with Joe.
Shush.
Shush. I want to talk about the SHUSH Act. There's a big push. A lot of people have been getting a hold of their representatives that are part of the House of Means and Ways Committee because they're trying to neuter the SHUSH Act. The SHUSH Act is an act that's trying to deregulate suppressors and short barrel rifles, taking them off the NFA list and registrations.
It's the Simplify Suppressors and Short Barrel Rifles Act.
Yes.
So basically, it's trying to take the suppressors and short barrel rifles off of the NFA.
Mm-hmm.
So it deregulates them. It makes them just a regular accessory for a weapon. Mm-hmm. It can't be regulated separately. It can't be taxed separately.
Right. And so there's a big push. I know a lot of firearms channels have been talking about it. Call your representative or email them, or however, try to get a House of Means Commission to push it through, because if they're able to get it through, it's a big win for the Second Amendment. And anyone, and it's for every law-abiding citizen. Like, because right now, with the way the Democratic Party went after short barrel rifles the last administration, if they're able to get control of government again, anyone who has any short barrel short barrel rifle, anyone that has a AR pistol with a brace, could be thrown in prison because of what the ATF ruled.
Right. And ATF does not have the authority to set law.
No, but depending on what state or government ran state, and district attorney decides to charge, they're going to do it. They're going to put people in prison.
Now, just last week, the Supreme Court had a big Second Amendment ruling.
Yes.
That, if I understand it correctly, it basically made it illegal for states to require a federal firearm owner's ID.
Yes, because in order to have like a Floyd card or something like that, it's basically saying that only individuals who get this card are approved. No, it's every American citizen is approved. The Second Amendment doesn't go to just those with that card.
Personally, I don't have a problem with background checks.
Right.
With regard to owning firearms, I think that is probably a very good thing.
It is.
For there to be background checks in purchasing firearms and ammunition, for that matter.
Right.
Just like you can't walk into a store and purchase a quarter stick of dynamite.
Right. Well, I disagree. And here's the reason why I disagree. Anybody that goes to prison for any kind of crime, and then they're released from prison, that means they're reformed. They're back to being a good citizen. So,
convicted felons never lose that. Convicted felons lose the right to vote.
Right.
They lose a lot of rights.
Right, and that's where if somebody's that heinous of an individual, mm-hmm. they should stay in prison. Because prison reform means the person's reformed from their crimes.
Our prisons are not set up to do any kind of reforming. They just hold people.
I know, but that's what everybody calls it. But it doesn't work.
I know, they call it the corrections department, but they don't do any correcting. They just hold people.
They just hold people.
Yeah.
And if people are that heinous, just hold them indefinitely. I mean, what are we doing? I mean, and that's where, like, but I could see doing the background check, but we wouldn't have to do a background check, and we wouldn't even need firearms or to defend ourselves against criminals if we didn't constantly release criminals. So that goes to my second thing I wanted to talk about with firearms is CRS.
Okay.
So CRS, I've talked about him on this channel before. He used to be a YouTuber. He still has a YouTube channel. His wife runs it.
Yeah.
He's incarcerated for advertising for an auto key card. What an auto key card was it was a metal card that had a etching of a Swift link on it.
Okay.
Now, you couldn't push it out, you couldn't punch it out, you had to cut it out You had to bend it. You had to profile it to a thinner state and put it in an AR-15 to get it to function.
Okay.
So the ATF got their hands on these cards, which CRS Firearms, Matt Hughes.
It's a sear?
It's not a sear. So what it is, it's a little link that pushes the sear down.
Oh, okay.
So it turned it into a fully automatic firearm with,
Gotcha.
with that inside the firearm.
Okay.
And you have to do so much work, not only to the Swift link, but also the AR-15 receiver. So the ATF tried to make a functioning AR-15 with this cutout of this card.
They weren't able to do it.
And they weren't still able to get it to function, but they were able to convict him. And here's the thing. He didn't even make the card. He just advertised for the card. So isn't that the First Amendment?
First Amendment, yeah.
He's still incarcerated. Now, here's another reason why I want to talk about it is he had cancer before. He was fighting and he was in remission. It's back. Now he's terminal. So he's going to die in prison unless he's given clemency. And the judge, who had cancer herself, denied clemency.
For something he should never been convicted of.
Correct. Meanwhile, in Washington, you have somebody that firebombs a Tesla facility, who identifies as trans, is not being prosecuted because there's no ways for him to get his treatment.
Right.
So he got away scot-free for committing a crime, a heinous crime.
Yeah.
And
because if he's incarcerated, he can't get the hormone treatment.
Can't get the hormone treatment. Whereas Matt Hoffman is dying in prison, and he has kids and a wife at home, and they're not giving him the ability to spend his last moments with him.
That's messed up.
Tell me we're not living in a political sphere of, the people are being somewhat oppressed. We're not living in a free country if we have judges that do this to us.
I agree. But I don't know that it's going to continue that way, especially with like the ATF being neutered like it was.
Mm-hmm.
And the new ATF director is a staunch advocate of the Second Amendment.
He is. But it comes down to us, the voters.
It does.
We voted in our district attorneys. Try to do the research on your district attorneys. If you're able to have, what happened to town halls where we got the question and the people got the question?
They still do it. People just don't go.
Yeah. Because I want to ask them, how do you feel about the Second Amendment? How do you feel about this? How do you feel about defending yourself? Do you think there should be a castle doctrine state?
Like, for example, Orange County Commissioners meetings are broadcast online. Even you can go there,
Right.
you can watch it in person,
Right.
You can watch it online.
But sometimes they're not asking these hard questions.
No, they're not.
And that's where, we need to really study this. Because, I know people, and I've done this in the past too, where you vote party down ticket. And you don't do any research on who you're voting for.
I have never done that.
I try to do as much research as I can. I talk to people and I do different things.
I have to admit, I have showed up to vote and been like, okay, I don't know anything about these two judges. I'm just going to skip that.
Yeah. But, that's where we have the direct influence in the city and county you live in.
Right. And I've never understood these political signs where it says, vote Adam Schiff, Democrat. That's all it says.
Yeah.
What do you stand for?
It doesn't say anything he stands for.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or I'm supported by so and so. Do you have the same views as that person?
Right.
This is kind of a short one. But yeah, please get a hold of the Ways and Means Committee if you want the SHUSH Act.
We could also talk about the SAVE Act real fast.
SAVE Act? Let's talk about the SAVE Act.
Yeah. So the SAVE Act is the election reform.
Right.
And basically what it is the government is putting out regulations to the states saying that in any federal election, a government ID has to be provided in order to register to vote.
Yeah.
Whether that be a real ID or a passport or something that proves citizenship.
I thought that did get passed.
It did.
It did.
But the Democrats are flipping out, and I overheard that. Well, over here. I actually saw a video on YouTube of a woman complaining that now she's going to have to show up with 2 forms of ID to vote. No, it doesn't say that.
No. You just have to have a real ID, which basically verifies you are the person who the ID is and you are a citizen to vote.
Yeah.
That's all it's doing.
Right.
And most cities and most states already have real IDs.
Now,
Florida's had them
in
for a
order
while.
in order to get a real ID, you do have to show up with multiple forms of ID.
Right.
Birth certificate, passport, state ID, whatever. You know, you do have to have multiple. I think it's 3 forms of ID is required to get.
That's required
real
to
ID.
get a real ID.
Which is the ones that have the gold star on them.
Right.
Yeah.
I have a real ID. I've had one for years.
Real ID just means that you're a verified U.S. citizen.
Yeah. Mostly the reason why I have a real ID is because of getting my CDL. In order to get your CDL, you have to jump through some hoops to have certain paperwork.
Right. I already had it before I got my CDL, but still.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think that the whole point of the SAVE Act is to protect our electoral process.
Right. Well, you look at, so if we don't have the SAVE Act or even have IDs, any kind of a form of ID to verify voting, then it could change any of the elections.
Right.
Because you could then go vote in this county, vote in that county, vote in this county. And you even look at, if you have a house in that county, you're a wealthy individual, you have multiple houses in several counties, you want to sway that voting, that's how many times you could probably vote.
You're talking about Adam Schiff?
Yeah. Shifty shift.
Yeah, because he actually registered as a primary residence in 2 different states.
So did...
and that's why he's facing criminal charges.
Right. So did Letitia James.
Yeah.
And that's why she's being looked at for what she was accusing Trump of doing.
Yes. Remember, when you point a finger, 4 of them point back at you.
Yeah. But that's what we have
the
for
SAVE
that.
Act, there's nothing bad about the SAVE Act. It's just like people attacking Project 2025 just because, oh my God, it's a buzzword.
It's a buzzword, yeah. And that's the thing is the Democratic Party, they almost don't have anything to run on anymore because they realize that everything that they've ever promised have all been false. They're full of false promises, and
they lie to their people and then people just gobble it up.
Yeah. And then come next election, they're going, well, I was stopped by so-and-so and so-and-so. I wasn't able to get what I got done, but look at what we were able to accomplish. Or we can, if we come together, to accomplish this.
What do they want to accomplish other than having transgenders in sports and
They want to get it. They want to get paid and work for nothing.
And tampons in the men's bathrooms.
Yeah, what it is individuals who don't want to work and get paid. In that case, like Tim Pool says, live in the pod and eat the bugs.
There you go.
If you don't want to work, live in the pod, eat the bugs.
Yup.
But that's all I have for this.
That's all I have too. I just wanted to talk about the SAVE Act real fast because
it's good since we're talking about the SHUSH Act.
Yeah.
And that's us ranting.
Pretty much.
Like, share, subscribe. We're going to try to get more news for you, more information to you. Please leave a comment.
Too good, not evil.
Yeah. Be positive.